Jumping. A trivial motion on foot, but when you're on a bike, it's a whole nother story. The speed involved, the balance, the determination to send it. Getting off the ground can be one of the greatest experiences you have while mountain biking, but can also be one of the most daunting, as the price for failure can seem pretty high, especially for the uninitiated like myself. But one thing's for certain, I'm stubborn as hell sometimes, and what I lack in skill I make up for in unearned confidence. I was set on learning to go off sick jumps with the cool kids. I mean, how hard can it be? Unsurprisingly, I had a long journey ahead of me, one filled with crashes, bruises, and a whole lot of humbling experiences. This is how I learned the essence of the jump. If you listen closely from the concrete paths, you may hear the clicking of wheel hubs and the rattling wooden features behind the tree line. This is Gateway Park's mountain bike trail system, taken care of by the lovely stewards of the Fort Worth Mountain Biking Association, or FWMBA for short. Here you'll find a surprising variety of flow, jank, climbs, berms, and wooden features like skinnies and seesaws. Since North Texas is pretty flat, they make sure to squeeze any and all possibilities out of what little elevation change there is, to make a fully featured trail that is a little something for all riders from beginner to advanced. But of course, you know from the title what we're really here for. If you're looking for jumps, you've come to the right place, as Gateway Park has an excellent jump line with 3 wooden tabletops, complete with a loop around to the start for obligatory party laps. Now, you might notice these jumps look quite sizable, for North Texas anyway. Maybe not the greatest for people just learning how to jump. And you'd kinda be right, but while there's plenty of great riding in the DFW Metroplex, it's somewhat difficult finding good places to practice skills like jumping and drops. But a couple things Gateway Park does have over many other trails in the area is that you'll always find plenty of other fellow riders, and it's well maintained. Every time I've been, everything's been in top-notch condition. And besides, I was determined to get my skills in order, regardless of if I had a great place to do it. So bring it on.
Hey boys and girls, I'm your professor. Today, it's time to rip you off your mother's teeth and throw you on the saddle to beat some knowledge of that fat head of yours.
Trying really hard to look tough. Is it working? I'm a film major. It wasn't in the cards for me anyway. Welcome to class, students. Today, we're here to discover just what is a jump.
I know this one.
No
talking.
Anyway, your average built jump on the trail can look like many things, but it'll usually consist of 3 certain things. A lip, a landing, and either a gap or a tabletop, depending if the jump is a double or a tabletop. Now the goal on these is to fly gracefully through the air like a bird until you land on the other side, upright with both wheels on the ground, unless you're getting particularly fancy, but we'll save that for another time. In order to accomplish this, you must follow a disciplined and well-structured technique to not only not crash, but to avoid all the hosts from GMBN as well as Rich Drew from haunting you in your dreams, turning your sleeping hours into a non-stop hellscape of drilling the same 1-foot jump over and over again. As the hosts from GMBN keep switching out your handlebars to narrow ones, you have to follow Rich Drew as he tows you into his premium kicker ramp at absurdly high speeds. Yes, if you're ready, and you're not sure, how could you be? Especially when a faint voice in the distance keeps yelling, questioning whether Rich's drop technique will actually send you over the handlebars.
Boring.
Oh, wait. Or you could just wing it.
And wing it I did. There's nothing quite like the cockiness that can come from your first few times getting out on the trail, especially if you haven't had many crashes yet. Thankfully, the jumps I was practicing on were all rollable, so I could get a decent feel for each jump. But at a certain point, there's not much else for a guy to do but to start sending it.
Just another day of me trying the hippity hops, as it were, with my horse riding helmet. So, yeah, it's been just like repeating this over and over again. Jumps are spooky, but they're also pretty hard.
It's easy to conquer these kinds of things when you're not too worried about how they'll turn out. And even though the fact that I hadn't crashed yet was nagging at the back of my mind, it didn't take long before I started getting cocky. Soon enough, I was sending these wooden jumps hard, and getting pretty good air out of them, for a rookie anyway. I got excited, but as I would figure out, I may have gotten too excited for my own good. Just earlier in the West Loop Trail at Gateway Park, there's a small downhill section that splits off into 2 paths. one to the left that bombs down the hill and up the other side, and one to the right that consists of small dirt jumps complete with the tabletop at the very end. Now, compared to the wooden jumps down the trail, this section of small jumps may look trivial. And to be honest, it mostly is. Maybe I should have started my practice with this section, but since I've been doing alright with the wooden jumps, all these should be a piece of cake, right? Little did I know, the worst was yet to come. And it should have been a red flag at this point that every single time I tried the last jump in this section, I either cased it or landed crooked. But I was not about to be deterred. I was a jumper now, one of the cool kids. I should be able to clear this easy. So I tried, and tried, and tried again. Harder, faster, come on, send it!
So it's like day after my accident, or like the night after, whatever. Not feeling great. Got my arm all wrapped up and my knee. Got a bandage. And my hip hurts like hell. Bruised it pretty bad, and I'm feeling pretty awful. So, God, I'm tired. I really just need some sleep.
I crashed. Hard. Luckily, no broken bones, but I practically ground the skin off my forearm and knee and bruised my hip so bad I was limping for several days after. Unfortunately, the damage wasn't only confined to my body. My bike had taken a nasty hit too. For well over a month, I wasn't able to get back on my bike, but time passed and I was finally able to get back on the trails again. But it felt different. The cocky, unearned confidence was gone. It almost felt scared riding on my bike. I felt like a passenger, like I wasn't in control. Needless to say, I took it easy on the riding for a while. And while I assured myself that I had to take it easy to build my skills back up to where they were, in the back of my mind, I felt like it was an excuse to not have to face the scary features again. There's something about your first big crash on your bike that really tempers your mind in a bad way. It makes you afraid. Suddenly the consequences for failure become a lot more real, and something nags in the back of your mind questioning whether or not this is really worth it.
Well, are you gonna get back out there? I don't know, I wasn't feeling it today. You weren't feeling it yesterday either. Well, I didn't want to go out. Or the day before that. Listen, if I wanted you to make me feel like trash for not riding, then you can be sure I would have asked you. Well, you can't just give up on the jumps. Or the riding. Why are you so hesitant to... I'll just screw up my bike again. Or my arm. Or maybe next time it'll be my collarbone. You enjoyed it, didn't you? Of course I did, but just because I enjoyed it doesn't mean I should go out and do it again. I'm sure people have an absolute ball their first time on meth, but obviously that doesn't mean... That's kind of an extreme comparison. Yeah, that's an extreme example. But my point still stands. Listen, I appreciate if you're trying to push me and get me to go out there and send it on some crazy features, but I don't know. I'll just stick to the green and easy blue trails. Look, there's nothing wrong with wanting to stick to easier stuff. There's nothing wrong with that, and it's a valid choice, and I'm not shaming that. It sounds like there's a but coming. But I also know why you got into this to begin with. Yeah, it was about riding your bike, it was about getting outdoors more, it's about keeping in shape and doing all kinds of stuff, but you wanted to learn something new. You wanted to challenge yourself. Do you remember the first time you went to Sansom Park? And after being lost for ages, you finally decided you wanted to try this one jump line on the other end of the park. And it was spooky, because jumps are spooky. And you took it slow, and you managed to go fast enough down the hill to get just a little bit of air off that one tabletop. But in that moment, when you got that little bit of air, you realize that all this isn't just for all those crazy mountain bikers in the races and all like the childhood BMXers on YouTube, you could do this too. Yeah, you messed up. But there's so much out there in this sport that you want to learn and experience, and maybe you'll mess up again. Hell, it's almost certain. But you're gonna learn from it. Just like all those guys in the races, just like all those guys on YouTube. Because you can do it too.
Get some forward-facing shots.
Once again, I found myself staring down the jump line that I used to have nailed down. This time it was different for sure. I didn't quite have the same confidence I had before I crashed. But you know what's even better? Building up your new confidence with a strong foundation of technique and practice instead of luck. And to get where I was before, I had some catching up to do.
Now, there's a few things that went wrong here. First of all, I did not warm up enough that day before going on that dirt jump line. And it was one of the very first things I did. You see, I didn't get the hint the first time I messed up that day to maybe take it a little easy. But there's more to see with what happened during the jump itself. You immediately see that I go completely sideways as soon as I go off the lip of the jump, setting me up for failure before I even get air. Up to this point, I had started developing a nasty habit of using my arms to, do a lot of maneuvers on the bike. And unfortunately, this crept into my jump technique at the time. To try and get more air, I pulled like really hard up on my handlebars. And when you pull with your arms, it's inevitable that one arm is gonna pull a little bit more than the other, and you're gonna go sideways as soon as you get into the air. I went completely crooked. Then, knowing that something was wrong, I immediately froze up and went all dead sailor as I came down, crashing to the ground, instead of trying to ditch my bike. It's important to analyze yourself when you mess up, especially this bad. This incident threw a huge red flag on all of my poor practices when it came to riding, namely using my arms all the time to manipulate the bike under me. And there's a lot you can learn from failures like this. Honestly, it's the failures and when you crash that you learn the most. But now, armed with this knowledge, like my bad tech, you get it. It was simply a matter of reading up on proper technique and practicing it. And practice I did.
Getting banged up tends to give you a bit of a spook, and getting spooked tends to make you tense up. And boy, was I tense for a while. I didn't even realize how much until a fellow rider gave me some jumping advice one day that completely cleared everything up for me. Relax. Really simple, I know, but it was exactly what I needed to hear. My jumping was finally starting to take off. Pun intended. Don't get me wrong, I still have plenty of work to do if I want to get more consistent and more confident. But I learned a lot on the road to get where I am now. I learned to expect failure to happen sometimes, and to not let fear take over when you do fail. It's important to analyze your mistakes and not beat yourself up when things go wrong. Practice goes a long way. And I learned to relax. Take it easy. There's no rush to become a master. It's important to enjoy the journey along the way.
Now, I'm gonna get back to hitting the trails and learning some new things along the way. And maybe I'll explore some new cool places with this new hobby of mine. But before I go, I've got a score to settle.
You're like a cat.
Meow.
Meow. I did it. That's the point. Hey, YouTube. It's your boy.
Tell them how happy you are.
I am so stoked. No, honestly, this jump line feels really good now. Because my biggest thing is I kept thinking I needed a bunch of speed to get through here, especially for that last thing. I was trying to pedal, and obviously I was trying to wrench it back up with my arms because I didn't have enough speed. And then I died. But when you just relax and just do it,
just like make your body jelly.
Okay, not quite.
It literally says in the script, back at the dirt jump line, I go down it and hopefully nail it, because I wrote the script before I recorded me completing the dirt jump line. I didn't crash this time, so that's good. I appreciate y'all watching. Thank you very much. Also, thank you to Matthew Lewis. What was her name? Sorry, there's another person's name and I forgot her last name. Also, special thanks to Matthew Lewis and Rachel Frick for helping me shoot this video. And also thank you to Garrett Townsend for helping me get the drone shots. We used his drone. Thank you. I will leave links to Matthew Lewis and Rachel Frick's work in the description below. Garrett is an engineer. He doesn't have work to link to, but I'll link you to a spicy meme that he would like everyone to see. Thank you again for watching. Stay tuned for more adventures, and I will huck it with y'all in the next one. Okay, maybe I'll find a better outro line later. Bye.
I don't know about that one. Because you can't roll this one.
No, you're gonna have to have enough speed.
Let me run up to it. You know what, another day. We're not doing it today. That's my decision.